Hi everybody. Today's presentation we are going to see about three important topics: celiac trunk, superior mesenteric artery, and the mesentery. The abdominal aorta is nothing but the continuation of the descending thoracic aorta into the abdomen through the opening in the diaphragm. So here, can you make out the abdominal aorta here? Yes, this is your abdominal aorta. This is your diaphragm. So this is your vena cava opening in the diaphragm, the esophageal opening, and that's the aortic opening. The aortic opening in the diaphragm corresponds to which vertebral level? Anyone? Yes? T12. Okay. So the aortic opening in the diaphragm corresponds to T12. Okay, so this is your abdominal aorta. You can see the abdominal aorta terminating or bifurcating into the common iliac arteries. Any idea what is that vertebral level? L4. So the abdominal aorta on the whole measures around 10 to 11 centimeter from T12 to L4. Yes, and the branches that arise from the ventral aspect of the abdominal aorta, they are going to supply the gut tube. They are three in number: the celiac trunk, yes, the superior mesenteric artery, inferior mesenteric artery. If you want to see it here, yes, this is the celiac trunk, the superior mesenteric artery, and the inferior mesenteric artery. The origin of the celiac trunk, it corresponds to lower border of T12. The origin of superior mesenteric artery corresponds to L1 vertebral level, inferior mesenteric artery L3 vertebral level. So these three ventral branches, as I told you, they're going to supply the gut tube. And you know the gut tube is going to be further divided. Embryology, foregut, midgut, and hindgut, isn't it? The celiac trunk will supply the structures derived from the foregut. The superior mesenteric artery will supply that part of the gut tube that is going to be derived from the forms the midgut. The inferior mesenteric artery will supply the structures from the gut tube that's going to form the hindgut. Derivatives of hindgut by inferior mesenteric artery, derivatives of the midgut by superior mesenteric artery, derivatives of foregut by celiac trunk. Okay. Now we'll go to celiac trunk. So the celiac trunk, yes, that's the ventral branch of the abdominal aorta that is going to supply the derivatives of the foregut, and it arises from the ventral surface of the aorta corresponding to lower border of T12 immediately below the diaphragmatic opening, right? Immediately below the diaphragmatic opening. So this is the celiac trunk. This celiac trunk is the shortest branch. Okay, it measures around 1.25 centimeter, and soon after that it trifurcates into three branches. Mm, so this is your diaphragmatic opening. This is aorta. What you see here is the celiac trunk. So the celiac trunk, I told you, is shortest, 1.25 centimeter, is directed forwards, okay? Forwards, and yeah, relations of it immediately above. You can see the liver here. It will be related to the papillary process of liver. The celiac trunk, the origin of the celiac trunk, above it is related to papillary process of liver, and below it is related to the elevation that you see here in the upper border of the body of pancreas, that's called the tuber omental. Okay, papillary process, tuber omental. And the origin of the celiac trunk itself is going to be surrounded by sympathetic plexus of nerves. Okay, so three relations, please remember: surrounded by the celiac plexus of nerves, above to the papillary process of liver, below to the tuber omental of pancreas. Branches of celiac trunk are three. The smallest branch of celiac trunk is the left gastric artery. Okay, going up, you can see going up. So this is celiac trunk. One going up will be the left gastric artery, and then you'll have the largest and the tortuous splenic artery. You can see here. Yes, the largest branch of celiac trunk is the splenic artery. And one more branch, the common hepatic artery. Can you see here? The one. So I told you the celiac trunk is trifurcating, isn't it? The common hepatic artery. These three are the branches coming from the celiac trunk. So we'll see each one now. The left gastric artery, what did I tell you? That's the smallest branch from celiac trunk. Yes, where is it here? So this is the celiac trunk. You can see the left gastric artery coming here. It runs along which curvature of the stomach? It runs along the lesser curvature of the stomach. Okay. How does it terminate? It anastomoses with the right gastric artery within the lesser omentum. What ligament attaches, peritoneal fold attaches to the lesser curvature? Lesser omentum. Okay, so the anastomosis between the right gastric artery and the left gastric artery, it lies within the lesser omentum. What are the structures supplied by the left gastric artery? The foregut and the stomach. I'm sorry, the esophagus. The lower end of esophagus and, as you see here, branches to supply the stomach. Coming to the splenic artery, what did I tell about it? That's the largest branch of the celiac trunk. It's very easy to identify it because of its tortuous course, and it forms one of the important structures in the stomach bed. It forms the posterior relation for the stomach. Okay, so as you see here, only if you lift or remove the stomach, you get to see the splenic artery. Now, the branches from the splenic artery, as the name indicates, it has to supply the spleen. It's an end artery, okay? The spleen, yeah. So it actually, you can see it running along the upper border of the pancreas, the body and the tail of the pancreas. It lies within the lienorenal ligament. Yes. And the tail of the pancreas. The tail of the pancreas and the splenic artery are content of the lienorenal ligament. So you see branches to supply the spleen. Yeah. And then here you can see branches. Since it's running along the upper border of the pancreas, it gives branches to supply the pancreas. Okay. And then one of these branches will be like a little big. It will be called the arteria pancreatic magna or the greater pancreatic artery. Apart from that, this is the splenic artery you see here. It gives branches to supply the fundus of the stomach. These are called the short gastric branches. And then it gives one nice large branch that runs along the greater curvature of the stomach within the greater omentum. It's called the left gastroepiploic artery that anastomoses with the right gastroepiploic artery. So in the previous picture, I showed you splenic branches and pancreatic branches. Here I'm showing you the short gastric branches, the left gastroepiploic. So to summarize branches of the splenic artery, yes, splenic branches, pancreatic branches, And the branches to the stomach, okay, what are they? The short gastric artery. Which part of the stomach that it supply? The fundus, and then the left gastroepiploic artery, which runs along the greater curvature within the greater omentum. How does it terminate? By anastomosing with the right gastroepiploic artery. Now coming to the common hepatic artery. So left gastric artery is the smallest branch. Splenic artery is the largest branch. This will be midway between the two. This is the common hepatic artery. I'll show you in the picture first. So this is the common hepatic artery. What is happening to the common hepatic artery? You can see it giving branches. Yeah. One is the right gastric branch. Right gastric branch, we learned it now, isn't it? It runs along the lesser curvature within the lesser omentum. Anastomosis with the left gastric artery. Branches from the right gastric artery supply the stomach. And the next one is the gastroduodenal artery. Okay, gastroduodenal artery. As the name indicates, gastroduodenal, it gives the right gastroepiploic artery. The gastroduodenal artery, you can see it going behind, yes, behind the stomach, behind the duodenum. And then you can see it dividing into the right gastroepiploic artery, and then this is the right gastroepiploic artery, and the superior pancreaticoduodenal. Remember, what did I tell you about the celiac trunk? It's the artery of the foregut, isn't it? So you know where is the junction between the foregut and the midgut? Yeah, the second part of the duodenum. So up to that will be supplied by branches from your celiac trunk. The gastroduodenal artery will divide into right gastroepiploic artery, the superior pancreaticoduodenal artery. Okay. After giving these two branches, the rest of it continues as hepatic artery proper. Okay, hepatic artery proper. This hepatic artery proper, it runs in the free margin of the lesser omentum, right free margin. It enters the porta hepatis of the liver, dividing into right branch and left branch. From the right hepatic artery, a branch comes to supply the gallbladder. This is called the cystic artery. Is it confusing? We'll do it again. So the common hepatic artery, what did I tell you? It gives two branches. Right gastric artery, gastroduodenal artery. After giving these two branches, it continues as hepatic artery proper. What is happening to the right gastric artery? Anastomosis with the left gastric artery within the lesser omentum, isn't it? What is happening to gastroduodenal artery? It's splitting into two branches. Right gastroepiploic artery, that anastomosis with the left gastroepiploic artery within the greater omentum attached to the greater curvature of the stomach. And duodenal is the superior pancreaticoduodenal. What is happening to the hepatic artery proper? It's going to divide into right branch, left branch. The right branch is also going to supply the gallbladder through a branch called the cystic artery. Is it clear? One important relation that you should remember. This is the liver. What you see here is the stomach, the lesser curvature of the stomach, the greater curvature of the stomach. This is your lesser omentum attached to the lesser curvature. That's the greater omentum attached to the greater curvature of the stomach. Okay. In the right free margin of the lesser omentum, there are three important structures which you're supposed to identify in dissection. Okay, you can see the colors of it. The one that's red color towards the left, the green color towards the right. And between that, can you spot out this blue color? Yes, you see a blue behind. I'll choose a color. Wait. Green. Yes, you see the green color here. And one more, the red color. There are three structures in the right free margin of the lesser omentum. Yeah. What is this arrow indicating? Epiploic foramen. The epiploic foramen is the only communication between the greater sac and lesser sac. What is lesser sac? Lesser sac is the peritoneal cavity that you see posterior to the stomach. Whatever lies anterior to the stomach will be your greater sac. The epiploic foramen is communication between the greater sac and lesser sac. Anterior boundary of the epiploic foramen, it's also called the foramen of Winslow, is formed by the right free margin of lesser omentum, which has three important structures. The one that you see here to the left will be the hepatic artery proper. The one that you see towards the left is your hepatic artery proper. The one that you see towards the right, that green color, that's your common bile duct. And behind, that's the IVC, the portal vein. Okay, so the epiploic foramen is bounded anteriorly by the right free margin of lesser omentum that has the hepatic artery, the common bile duct, and the portal vein. The posterior boundary will be formed by the inferior vena cava. Okay, so this is an important relation that you should definitely know. So to summarize the branches of the celiac trunk, yes, we had the left gastric artery, the splenic artery, and common hepatic artery. Splenic artery branches, remember, to the spleen, to the pancreas, to the fundus of the stomach, and then we also got the left gastroepiploic artery. And then common hepatic artery, it gave the right gastric artery, the gastroduodenal artery that split into right gastroepiploic and the pancreaticoduodenal artery, isn't it? After that, it continued as hepatic artery proper. This hepatic artery proper we divided into right and left branch, and the right branch gave cystic artery. Okay. Now coming to the second topic of today's presentation, superior mesenteric artery. So what are the things that you already know about that? It is a ventral branch of the aorta, vertebral level, lower border of L1. What is it going to supply? Structures that are going to be derived from the midgut. So what is the junction between foregut and midgut? The second part of duodenum, where there's the opening of the common, that hepatopancreatic ampulla. Beyond all that is your midgut. The junction between midgut and hindgut is the junction of the right two-third and the left one-third of the transverse colon. So the lower part of the duodenum, the jejunum, the ileum, the cecum, the ascending colon, and up to the right two-third of the transverse colon is going to be supplied by superior mesenteric artery. Celiac artery, artery of foregut. So what were the structures supplied by branches of celiac trunk? The lower end of esophagus, the stomach, yeah, the first part of the duodenum, up to the second part of the duodenum up to the opening of the hepatopancreatic ampulla, and then it also supplied the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, isn't it? It did supply the spleen, but the spleen is not a derivative of foregut, okay? It is derived from the mesenchymal cells in the dorsal mesogastrium. Please remember that. So the superior mesenteric artery, yeah, in this diagram, can you see what are the structures here? So this is your duodenum. That's the jejunum. This is your duodenojejunal flexure. This is the spleen that you see here. That's the abdominal aorta, celiac trunk. Why you are not able to see the origin of the superior mesenteric artery? This is the superior mesenteric artery, but are you able to see the origin of the superior mesenteric artery from the aorta? What is the structure hiding that? The pancreas, isn't it? Okay, please remember. So, the anterior surface of the body of pancreas, it lies anterior to the origin of superior mesenteric artery. What do you see in this picture here? So this again your duodenum, this is jejunum, the DJ flexure. You see the pancreas here, the head of pancreas, the body of pancreas, the neck is here, the body of pancreas, the tail of pancreas. This is the uncinate process. So pancreas, if you see, yes, right? The head, neck, body, tail, uncinate process. Now, where is superior mesenteric artery? It was lying posterior to the body of pancreas. Then here it will run on the anterior surface of the uncinate process. Can you see that here? This is your superior mesenteric artery. Yeah, so it lies actually posterior to the body of the pancreas. It lies on the anterior surface of uncinate process. What is below that? This is your third part of duodenum. It rests on the anterior to the third part of duodenum. So the third part of duodenum, please observe here. This is your abdominal aorta. This is your superior mesenteric artery. Now this is your aorta is here. Your superior mesenteric artery is here. Where is the third part of duodenum? Here, isn't it? Okay, so this forms a very important relation. Okay, so this any decrease in the angle between the abdominal aorta and the superior mesenteric artery, what structure can get compressed? The third part of duodenum. Another important relation here, you see the splenic artery running on the top, isn't it? Below that, posterior to the pancreas, you'll have the splenic vein. So what will be the relation between the splenic vein and superior mesenteric artery? Again, it will be anterior. But here, can you see the left renal vein? Yeah, so this is your aorta, that's the superior mesenteric artery. This is your right renal vein, left renal vein. Your IVC lies to the right side of the abdominal aorta. Now the right renal vein and the left renal vein, they enter into IVC. The right renal vein, since the IVC on the right side, it will have a short course. Whereas the left renal vein, yeah, it has to be lengthier to reach the IVC that lies to the right of your abdominal aorta. On the way to reach the inferior vena cava, you can see that the left renal vein passes beneath the superior mesenteric artery. So any aneurysm, anything that can compress the left renal vein. Yes. So these relations are very important. Please remember that. Okay. Anterior surface of the body of pancreas. Yes. So the origin of superior mesenteric artery you can see only when you dissect the pancreas. But you can see the rest of the course of the superior mesenteric artery. Yeah, below the here, running over the anterior surface of the uncinate process, anterior surface of the third part of the duodenum. Yeah. So here the left renal vein and here the duodenum, third part of the duodenum between the superior mesenteric artery and the abdominal aorta. You can see the superior mesenteric artery running downwards, forwards, to the right or to the left, to the right. The branches from the superior mesenteric artery needs to supply the duodenum, jejunum, ileum, cecum, ascending colon, and right two-third of the transverse colon. Okay, please remember. So what are the structures crossed by the superior mesenteric artery anteriorly? That's the third part of the duodenum, This is aorta. This is IVC. That's the right psoas major. Over the right psoas major, you'll get to see the right ureter, the right gonadal vessels. Okay. So it crosses downwards, forwards to the right, crossing these structures. Branches of superior mesenteric artery. Yes, to supply the structures derived from the midgut tube. So it needs to supply the duodenum and the pancreas. The inferior pancreaticoduodenal artery. Yes, and then it needs to supply the jejunum and ileum. So if this is the superior mesenteric artery, yes, from the convex left side of the superior mesenteric artery, branches will arise to supply the jejunum and ileum. And from the concave right aspect of the superior mesenteric artery, branches will arise to supply the colon, the colic branches. Okay, the middle colic artery, the right colic artery, ileocolic artery. The middle colic artery will divide into a right branch and a left branch. Okay, this left branch will anastomose with the branch coming from the inferior mesenteric artery. The right colic artery will divide into ascending branch, which anastomoses with the middle colic artery, and the descending branch that will anastomose with the ascending branch of ileocolic artery. The descending branch of ileocolic artery is very important. It's going to divide into anterior cecal, posterior cecal, appendicular branches, and ileal branch. Okay. So the inferior pancreaticoduodenal artery is the first branch of the superior mesenteric artery that's going to supply the duodenum. Okay, here in the groove lies between the pancreas and the duodenum and supplies both. And then the jejunal ileal branches to supply the small intestine. Okay, and from the concave right aspect of it, the colic branches to supply the large intestine. Middle colic, right colic, ileocolic. Okay, this is the termination of the superior mesenteric artery anastomosing with the descending branch. The ileocolic branch artery is going to supply the cecum through two branches, anterior cecal, posterior cecal, then the appendicular artery to supply the appendix, and the ileal branch to supply the terminal aspect of ileum. The anastomosis between these branches, as you see here, will form the marginal artery of Drummond. The middle colic anastomosing with the branches of the inferior mesenteric artery. Yeah, middle colic, right colic, ileocolic. The branches of the inferior mesenteric artery will also anastomose one another, and together they form the marginal artery of Drummond. Okay. And one important factor that you should see here, what are these branches that are shown in green color coming from the convex right aspect of the superior mesenteric artery? The jejunal and the ileal branches. The jejunal and the ileal branches, as you see here, they sort of form arterial arcades. So the jejunal branches, they form one or two arterial arcades, and the ileal branches might form 2 to 3 arterial arcades. And the straight branches coming from these arterial arcades are called vasa recta. The arterial arcades are fewer in number in the jejunum. The vasa recta are longer. And these windows that you see here between the vasa recta will be transparent in jejunum because there is less fat content there. And in the ileum, the arterial arcades are more. The vasa recta arising from these arterial arcades are smaller in length, shorter. And the windows that you see here in the mesentery between these vasa recta, they'll be sort of loaded with fat, okay, and not transparent. So, few clinical aspects related to superior mesenteric artery. As I told you, because of its relations, the left renal vein sandwiched between the origin of superior mesenteric artery and the abdominal aorta can get compressed. Okay, and that can lead to uh, pain, pain in the flank, loin, renal pain, then hematuria, and the left renal vein here I'm sorry, the left testicular vein is also opening into the left renal vein. The left suprarenal vein and the left testicular vein also will open into left renal vein. So that will also cause left-sided varicose. This I told you the relation between, the third part of the duodenum, getting compressed between the superior mesenteric artery and the abdominal aorta, leading to duodenal obstruction. Yes. So normally the angle between the superior mesenteric artery and the abdominal aorta is around 40 to 60. When it gets lower, less than 25 degree, that can lead to obstruction symptoms. Now coming to the last topic of today's presentation, the mesentery. So what is mesentery? Yeah, so that is a peritoneal fold, a broad fan-shaped peritoneal fold. Yes, that is going to suspend the duodenum and the jejunum, ileum from the posterior abdominal wall. Okay, so it is a broad fan-shaped fold of peritoneum that extends from the posterior abdominal wall to suspend the jejunum and ileum. Why is it so much of yellow in color? Because of the fat content there. Extent of the mesentery from where to where? From the duodenojejunal flexure to ileocecal junction. Now the vertebral level of this corresponds to that to the left side of L1 vertebra, to the ileocecal junction that lies to the right side of sacroiliac joint. Okay, is it clear? To the left side of L1 vertebra, to the right sacroiliac joint. The structures crossed by the root of the mesentery, as you see here, that's the third part of the duodenum. This is the abdominal aorta. This is the inferior vena cava. That's the right psoas major. You can see the right ureter, the right gonadal vessels, the right genitofemoral nerve. Then you'll have the right sacroiliac joint. Okay. So all this will be crossed by the root of the mesentery. You want me to write it again? So the third part of duodenum, then the abdominal aorta, the IVC. You know, the course of the mesentery is towards the ileocecal junction that corresponds to the right sacroiliac junction. So the structures on the right side, the right psoas major. On the surface of the right psoas major, you can see the right ureter, the right gonadal vessels, and the right genitofemoral nerve. Okay, the right sacroiliac joint. These are the structures that be crossed by the root of the mesentery. Yes, so this is the root of the mesentery holding the jejunum and ileum to the posterior abdominal wall. What are the contents in the root of the mesentery? In the mesentery, the jejunum and ileum, the branches, the superior mesenteric artery branches to supply the jejunum and ileum, isn't it? Then the lymphatics. What do you call the lymphatics of the intestine as? Lacteals, isn't it? And the mesenteric nodes. Yes, you get to see mesenteric nodes, lymph nodes also within the mesentery. Then you'll have the nerve plexus accompanying the blood vessels, the loose areolar tissue, and as I told you, that yellow color because of the fat content there. And occasionally you can also get to see accessory suprarenal tissue. Yes, adrenal. Accessory suprarenal tissue. The tip of vermiform appendix can sometimes be within the mesentery. Yeah, and the suspensory muscle of duodenum can occasionally be within the mesentery itself. These are the contents of the mesentery. Okay, guys. So all the three topics are very important. Hope you have understood that. Any doubt, you can get back to me. Okay. Thank you.